My father lived with dementia for 10 years. My mother lived with Alzheimer's for 10 years. There's a wonderful opportunity to use AI to hit certain buttons, to press triggers that allow folk experiencing those type of conditions to connect with family, with friends, with music, with experiences. And in doing so, feel that they can still have a vibrant life and be part of a vibrant community.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of How I Use AI. So this is a podcast which interviews real people who are really using AI, and it's about learning what actually works and what doesn't work and where you should spend your time, and understanding some inspiring use cases that are happening around you from people that aren't selling AI products. That's the main point. There's lots of AI hype. We want to cut through that and actually get to the good stuff. So in today's episode, we are joined by Simon Long, who is an age astronaut. We'll find out what that is in a second. A champion of an ageless world. He also works in the world of sports, helping people get up onto their feet and perform at their best. So very warm welcome to you, Simon. How are you?
Thank you very much, Heather. I'm really well. Thanks for the glowing intro. And yes, I am indeed an age astronaut. Boldly going where no people have gone before.
Yeah, tell me, what does that involve, age astronaut?
It's basically born from the fact that when I got to 50, I suddenly realised that the phone lines went cold and I was regarded as being on the slag heap of life. So I've taken it upon myself to help people understand the value of an intergenerational world where age doesn't matter. What happens on your birth certificate is meaningless, but what counts is our attitude, the way we can live and work together and thrive.
Too right. Yeah, I really like that. That's brilliant. And what about the other side of things? This helping people get up on their feet and perform at their best. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, well, I've spent the last 2.5 years helping people over the age of 50 get into work and helping companies see the value of people over 50 as part of a multi-generational workforce. But I've also worked with a number of companies helping folk from, let's say, unconventional backgrounds, maybe people who haven't had an education or have been caring for adults and family members, or have perhaps taken a wrong path in life and therefore don't have a CV in a conventional route into employment. So I've helped them and I've helped companies basically discover one another and thrive.
Excellent. It sounds like you're doing an awful lot of good there, Simon. This is you're leading a wonderful life, it seems, making a big difference to people.
Well, thank you for saying that. We only get one chance at this, and as I've got a little bit older, I've begun to realise that actually it's a bit like Christmas. Giving is more pleasurable than receiving.
I completely get that. We've been chatting a little bit already, and I'm going to cut straight into it, actually. We've been chatting a little bit already on email around sort of AI use. You were talking about AI use for over 50s. I was talking about AI use for over 80s. I work with some socially isolated people, and I wondered how that could reduce isolation. What are your kind of thoughts on that? Let's just jump into that, because I think it's a really interesting topic.
Yeah, well, I mean, the great thing about AI is it's a leveler, isn't it? And it's just a matter of learning how to use the tools. It doesn't matter how physically equipped you are. It doesn't matter what line of work you're in. It's available to all of us. So I love the fact that it's leveling the playing field. But I do think that people over the age of 50 are either stereotyped as being lacking in the sort of instinct around digital things, and therefore less likely to pick up on AI, or they're deemed to be people who are over the hill and therefore of less interest to the AI community. Nothing could be further from the truth. And in fact, as we over 50s get older, and most of us are over 50 in this country, in fact, 1 in 2 of us will be over 50 in the workplace in 2 years, we are still curious. We still have lots to give, and we want to give and share that knowledge. So I think AI has got an opportunity to do 2 things. One is to bring us all closer together and educate one another, shared learning, shared best practice, irrespective of age. But it's also a brilliant mental health gym workout as we discover things that ordinarily might take us years to discover, and we can distill them down into hours and even minutes. So I think in the world of dementia, my father lived with dementia for 10 years. My mother lived with Alzheimer's for 10 years. There's a wonderful opportunity to use AI to hit certain buttons to press triggers that allow folk experiencing those type of conditions to connect with family, with friends, with music, with experiences. And in doing so, feel that they can still have a vibrant life and be part of a vibrant community.
Yeah, I think it's so, there's so many good points there. I think one of the main things I always think is a generative AI, this new version of AI that we've got, is accessible. The reason I called my business AI for Non-Techies is you don't have to be technical to use it, and more you can use it via voice. So, for example, I recently downloaded Whisperflow, and that prevents me from having to type on my phone, on my computer, and I just think it's a really interesting thing that. We've had Siri, we've had Alexa, they've been quite limited. I think you need to speak to them in this certain way. But what if we have kind of devices, and I think they're coming if they're not already here and I don't know about them yet, devices that people can speak to.
Yeah.
So whether or not you're digital, I think, as I say, completely irrespective of your age, whether or not you're a digital person, my husband's mid-40s, not digital at all, but to be able to speak to something in natural human language, that just opens it up to everybody anyway.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I was on a 5-hour drive down from the beautiful Lake District earlier this week. And rather than try and fiddle through radio channels trying to find something interesting, I actually, for the first time, activated the audio interface on Perplexity and ChatGPT. And before I knew it, I was singing away like a canary, making friends with these two AI platforms and learning and kicking around ideas. And then, would you believe it, asking them to make sure that I could pick up on them all when I got back to base. So that was fascinating. And why wouldn't we use ChatGPTs as well to help people perhaps who are lonely to create characters and friends and learn in a way that allows them to feel in control. But we can, of course, be on hand to help support how those are developed and how we interact with them and share ideas with them. So I think voice is absolutely the way to go. And I've just made a note of Whisperflow. I haven't heard of it, Heather. So thank you for the tip.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah. No, I think, there's a kind of weird point, isn't there, when it comes to, like you were saying, about people who might be lacking a companion, they might be feeling quite lonely. I don't know how I feel about it. It's kind of I'm split. I feel like you've got this kind of thing. I know plenty of people who I've met via AGK, and they have got quite literally nobody to speak to, no friends, no family, and the only conversation they might have all week is with the person in Tesco. And that's not necessarily an older person's problems. A lot of people that have issues with loneliness and not having people to talk to.
Yeah.
And I think can AI do... I don't know whether, because obviously if they cannot access people, and a lot of people develop agoraphobia and things like that, if they cannot access people, is AI actually going to make them feel better by providing this kind of middle place? It's not quite as good as speaking to other people, but it's better than not speaking to anyone. Or is it going to develop a strange... I wonder what it's going to do to people's brains if they speak all day, every day to a companion that they've created that is very likely to agree with everything they say.
That's really good.
And I feel like it's in how they're created, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's vital that there be guardrails in place and the proper sort of safeguarding and governance. At the risk of sounding like a politician, I don't mean to, but if there is a way that AI can at least help keep people's brains active and build bridges that may in the real world actually lead to AI workshops as part of a coffee morning down at the local church or the local pub or the village hall, as long as it's part of the day-to-day life and isn't purely placed in the digital pigeonhole, but is part of the way we live, act, interact, feel, talk, then I think it's got a wonderful role to play. But I agree with you. I would be concerned if I were this person that I basically fell in love with a digital version of someone who doesn't exist. I wouldn't want that for me, and I wouldn't want it for anybody else.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there are people, with every technology, it always goes down, you can go down strange paths with people forming relationships, but it's a lot of them are designed for that reason. They're designed to kind of create that dependence on them and that feeling that this person's always going to support you. Yeah. There's Pi.ai, which was created by the guy that created LinkedIn, and it's such a deceptively simple tool. I don't know if you've used it, and it's I am your friend. Yeah. I will whatever problem you've got, you can use it on WhatsApp, you can use it on a desktop. It is really simple, quite kind of almost a bit childlike with its writing. It's a strange one, but there's nothing else going on. It's just this chat. And it's one chat. It's not multiple channels like you would have in ChatGPT. It's just one ongoing conversation with your friend, and that can have a voice and stuff or not. But it's deceptively clever the way it works. So yeah, I'd have a little tinkle on that and see what you think.
Well, it sounds pretty intuitive, and that's one of the things I love about AI, the fact that it can generate a learning and a knowledge of you and what makes you tick, provided, of course, that you're inputting the right type of information. So I think there's something to be said for that. But I think there's also something to be said for that person who's perhaps a bit lonely, to get on to there's Jiminy Cricket on the shoulder, this sort of GPT, and say, hey friend, I'm feeling really bored today. I'm feeling a bit down. Can you suggest anything that's happening in the village or in the town or down the road? Or there's some good programs coming on TV that might be of interest to me because you know the things that I like. So just as long as it's there to help and enable, then I think it's to be admired.
Definitely. We did a podcast on AI for mental health recently with a guy who runs the Hub of Hope. And it's basically this great big directory of help for people who need it. And his team literally verify that all the numbers work. Because the last thing on earth you want to be is in a situation where you're not feeling good and you reach out and that doesn't work, because that could send you even down a dark path, couldn't it? So I feel like the signposting you were saying before, it needs to be identifying certain types of language and behaviours and being able to go, hang on a second, and remind the user, I'm an AI, I'm not going to be able to help you with this, but here are some humans that can.
Yeah.
I think that would be really, really important.
Perfect.
You've got your everyday use and then you've got your kind of mental health supported use, haven't you too?
Well, so true. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people in the sort of race for gold, the gold rush, are looking at AI as a predominantly work-based tool, but there are so many helpful things that AI can do for one around health, around your personal life, around walking a dog, around places to go out in nature. So I think there's a lot to be said for that. And of course, with other things like music now really beginning to find their stride in the AI realm, and cinema and books and so forth. I just think it's wonderful. There's an encyclopedia of tools out there for us to use as we choose, but obviously not be dominated or bullied by it.
Yeah, definitely. I love those use cases where it's kind of, for example, me and my husband going to a new town tomorrow, Shrewsbury. We've never been to Shrewsbury before. And all we know is that it's pretty from the Google images. But when we arrive there, my first stop will be a ChatGPT. Look, it's a rainy day. It's, all the stuff Google can't do. We've got X amount of money. We've got a couple of hours. This is where we're staying. What sort of things should we do? Is it a good place for breakfast tomorrow morning?
Yeah.
I find that so useful.
Yes.
Or I've just read this book, really enjoyed it. Can you recommend something that was similar? There's so many cool things that can make your life, just dial up those little things that are just so much easier.
Yeah, and that's where I think mindset is so important. We can either be scared by AI or feel that's something we have to do to keep up with the Joneses. But if we can see it as something that's just available for us to use in whichever way we see fit on our terms, then I do think it's a wonderful additional tool to our life and work kit, if you like. So in Scotland recently, I went on holiday. My father-in-law came up for a few days with me and my wife and our lovely dog. And so a good old ChatGPT came to my rescue when I said, look, I've got an 84-year-old father-in-law coming. Here are the things he likes. He's here for these days. Can you tell me what the weather's going to be like? Good places to go and eat, some museums that may be of interest, and also short walks where we can get out and get a sense of the landscape. And boom, within 5 minutes, that was it sorted. So, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
The speed of this stuff, it still astonishes me every single time. You can ask so much with so much detail. And sure, yeah, read all those documents, sorted all that out for you. It's just wonderful. It's wonderful, but it is also awful in certain ways. It can be really terrible in certain ways. What sort of thing? What lessons have you learned around things you might have dabbled with, or tools you've expected more of, or things you've been disappointed by? Because I always like to keep a balance because it's not perfect.
It's certainly not perfect, and I would say my biggest learning at the moment, which I am struggling with, is the more I discover about AI, the more I get drawn into its web. And I'm very mindful that I'm now spending more screen time than I ever did before, because I'm just playing around with AI quite a lot of the time. And I have to be wary that when the lunch break comes and I could go out for a walk, rather than explore some incredible new films that are coming up on AI, I need to make sure I have that discipline. So first thing to say is it's important to have a menued approach to how one uses AI as part of the overall day and not let it dominate you. In terms of tools that I've found helpful, well, I didn't know what AI was 2 years ago, like so many of us. In fact, a prompt was, I think the last time I'd used a prompt was when I was trying to get my wife to propose to me. But, now AI is everywhere, isn't it, in everything that we do. So I started, like I think most people, with ChatGPT. Again, I think there's a view that all roads lead to and from ChatGPT, OpenAI, but obviously that's not the case. But it is a good initial playground, I think, to get your general sort of skills and to experiment and so forth. But I've now done what so many do, and I've created my own little menu. So ChatGPT is a bit like my daily sidekick. That's been great. Dip in and out of it, brainstorm some ideas and so forth. But then if I want to drill down, and here we're talking work, I'd go into something like Perplexity, because that has got more detail, it's more granular, it's got all the sources there and so forth, which is great for work. But then sometimes you want to translate that into something more creative. So Gamma AI, for those of you who don't know, it's unbelievable for producing presentations, documents and so forth. It's a playground that I get lost in often and love. And then there are other overlay type tools like Claude, obviously for the voice, it's the narrative storytelling. Claude Anthropic is fabulous. And then of late, I've turned into a fan of bananas in the form of the new Google banana generation, which is just phenomenal. And Sora 2. And if anyone wants to find out how to get into Sora 2 when you're not in the UK, I'll happily tell you offline.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah. And then last but not least, and then I'll draw a breath, is Notion. Now, I've come to Notion relatively recently, but in many ways, Notion is now, I see my infrastructure, my backbone to everything that I'm doing around AI. It's where I can archive content, plan, process, actively manage workflows and so forth. So I would say as a starter for 10, dabble with a few things, but try to cover a number of different discipline areas, from creativity to research to just general day-to-day, and then make sure that you catalog where they are and where your key prompts are, which of course is the magic sauce in all of this.
Yeah, I think I've so many great tools you've mentioned there. But yeah, absolutely. Such a good point around remembering where you've been. There's so many tools. And actually, there's so many kind of imitation tools as well. When you go back to try and find where you were before, you might put AI presentation software in. You might have Gamma and Gemma and Gomma. There's so many people trying to get a bite of this pie right now. So saving URLs, saving your prompts. When you get something good, here's an extra tip as well for those people listening. If you are putting some instructions, a prompt into a chatbot, and it gives you something back, and you end up going back and forth, and eventually you end up with the result that you wanted, say at the end, what should I have prompted at the beginning in order to get this response? And it's kind of a bit of a reverse engineer, and you end up with a much better prompt than when you started with, and then go and save that somewhere. I'll just use a Word document right now, but just finish it with a little top tip. So it has gone super fast as always. Simon, that was wonderful. And I think we've got much longer conversations to have on this topic. I'm thinking of so many things we can do together around this area. So I will definitely be speaking to you soon. But thank you so much for your time today. I really, really appreciate it. And
not at all. And I'll leave you with my best hack, which has always served me well since I discovered it, which is that when you write your prompt and you think you're ready to go, always check yourself and say, if you are unsure of anything, ask for clarification. And that I find incredibly helpful. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to come on, and congratulations for everything that you are doing, Heather, and the team, because we need you. You're a leading light for us, a guiding light. And the more we can all help as part of this community and share practice, the better we'll all be.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful. We'll see everybody soon. Thank you.
Bye then.